Hey everyone, I'm Sarah Clark from Fertility. We've got Justine Altman. She's our functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. Hey, Justine.
Hey, Sarah.
Awesome. So today we're talking about one of our favorite topics, which is gluten. This is something that both Justine and I have taken out of our diets for many years. I think myself, it's been 10 years. Justine, how long has it been for you?
8 years.
8 years, yeah. No more gluten. And this is something that we see with our couples all the time, with people we work with. So low AMH, high FSH, diminished ovarian reserve, premature ovarian insufficiency. We see a theme of non-celiac gluten sensitivity, with gluten literally being off the chart. And sometimes, for me, it wasn't digestive issues for me. For me, I had skin issues, so acne, and then also other issues I had going on, sinus and bladder and headaches and migraines and all these different things that I was dealing with. And so many people think, oh wait, I don't have digestive issues. Gluten's fine for me. Our thing is to really test it, and the gold standard is the elimination diet, taking it out of your diet for 10 days, systematically reintroducing it, tweaking it with food sensitivity testing. So really, first of all, Justine, so why is it important for couples that are trying to conceive, consider taking gluten out of your diet?
Yeah, so gluten just causes all sorts of issues. It causes an immune response for a lot of people, so it causes some level of leaky gut. We've got the single cell layer for our digestive tract, and our cells decide what goes into our bloodstream. And when we eat gluten, we have a little gap open up, and things can literally slip through the cracks and then get into our bloodstream that aren't supposed to get into our bloodstream. And our immune system sort of goes, whoa, that's not okay. And it causes this other cascade of issues. Our immune system starts to attack other things, sometimes our own tissues, sometimes other foods that are similar to gluten, sometimes dairy. Dairy and gluten share some of the same chemical structures. And so it causes all sorts of issues. So it can lead to skin issues, it can lead to headaches, it can lead to weight gain, it can lead to other autoimmune conditions. And we find very, very often that the couples that we work with do have some level of gluten sensitivity. A lot of times they have a rather strong gluten sensitivity, but in a lot of cases they've been tested for celiac and they don't have celiac. So celiac is different. Celiac is when there's been more damage to the gut that's happened, and when the body has started to attack tissues that are similar to gluten because it confuses it with gluten, and so the body's actually attacking itself in some ways. And that's when it's celiac. But there's a whole sort of big spectrum of gluten sensitivity that happens way before celiac ever happens. And so it happens all the time that people get this celiac test and they've tested negative for celiac and they don't have celiac, and that's fantastic, but they do still have a gluten sensitivity. And so just because we have a negative celiac test doesn't mean that we don't have a gluten sensitivity and that we shouldn't still remove gluten from the diet.
Yeah, because in the conventional celiac test, they're only testing for 4 proteins in gluten, and there's over 60. We have access to functional testing and ship it worldwide. And one of the tests that we like for food sensitivity testing is by Vibrant Wellness, the Zoomer test, and that one is testing for over 30 proteins in gluten. So still not as much as there are, but way better than the 4 when you get that false negative and you're like, oh wait, I'm good to go. Let's go eat the bread. But maybe you have non-celiac gluten sensitivity, and that is why for you it's for Justine and I, we struggle with it, infertility, and for you it's the same. And being able to really dig, like, we go into the minutia of gluten and really kind of seeing, well, where taking it out, and even if you don't notice anything, to take it out for that 60 to 90 days, even more. And so how long would it take to heal the gut? Because many people are like, oh wait, I've taken gluten out for the 60 to 90 days, I'm still not pregnant. And we also recommend that if you are sensitive to gluten, that your partner take it out as well. We see a lot of people that are so sensitive that it being off the chart, that even your partner coming in and giving you a kiss, with after he's had some bread, all the crumbs on his lips could then cause an immune reaction in you. And also if you guys are using, if he's using, cutting bread and you guys are using the same utensils, that could then still cause an immune reaction. So say, for instance, you have both taken it out, it's been 60 to 90 days and you're still not pregnant, how long is it going to take then to heal the gut? And that's kind of a big question, because obviously this is a personalized approach. It could depend, but yeah, how long will it take?
Yeah. So it's really different from person to person, right? It really depends on how strong your sensitivity is. For some people, in a couple of months has potential to do it. For other people, it's as much as a couple of years, as much as 2 years. And we know that if someone is really gluten sensitive, one exposure, like one half of a cracker, I'm talking one half of a cracker, you guys, has potential to lead to this immune cascade that goes on for a year or more. And so it's really important that we not only cut gluten out of our diet, but like you said, make sure that our partners aren't having it. And we also got to make sure that it's not in the house, right? That we're not preparing it for the kids, that we're not, putting our hands in Play-Doh. Play-Doh is made from gluten, and that we're not getting contaminated at a restaurant, right? So like they used the same knife they just cut through a hamburger bun to cut through your chicken breast, and to make sure that it's not in our, our body care products, right? So anything we're putting on our skin, anything we're putting in our hair, because all of that stuff ends up inside of our body and has potential to cause this immune cascade that continues to happen for a long time. And when that happens, the gut can't heal itself, right? So every time we get an exposure, it's a setback for a couple of months or more. And so it's really important to go completely 100%, not only with food, but with everything we come into contact with as much as we can. And then it really depends on what else is going on with your gut, right? If you have other food sensitivities that you don't know about that you're eating, it's going to take longer and longer for your gut to repair itself.
Yeah, that was the case for me where I took out gluten and dairy, and then a couple years later, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm still experiencing some symptoms. Like most of my symptoms were away, but things were still lingering. And then when I did some further gut testing, I found out I had these different gut infections. When I started to heal that, because during that time, I also took food sensitivity testing where it came back and I was intolerant to all my favorite foods. Then as I started to heal the gut, eventually I could go back to eating the avocados I was eating all the time that came up high on my food sensitivity test because I'd healed my gut. So we see this all the time, again, with the low AMH, high FSH, diminished ovarian reserve, premature ovarian insufficiency. We see that theme of non-celiac gluten sensitivity. So highly recommend that you and your partner do the elimination diet. You can go to Get Pregnant Naturally, my podcast on iTunes or Stitcher or Spotify. And there's an episode in there of how and why to do the elimination diet. And it takes you through it. So it's 10 days, and then you will systematically reintroduce the foods over the course of 30 days. And we actually have a fertility diet challenge that is starting April the 19th. And that challenge, we're going to take you through. So it's a 5-day meal plan, and we're going to kind of dip your toe into the elimination diet. So you can do that with your partner. So you can go to Fertility Diet Freebie, and I'll have the link in the show notes for that too. So you can try out the fertility diet challenge. It's all spring recipes as we're recording this in April 2021. So it starts April 19th, 2021. So any final thoughts on gluten, Justine?
Yeah, just make the commitment and get it out of there forever. There's no reason to have it in our lives.
Absolutely.